Hello everyone. In this video I want to go over some considerations when organizing your paragraphs for an argument essay. And for some of you this may be review, or at least certain parts of it. For some of you it may be new. And my goal in making this video is just to break down different ways that paragraphs are organized in a simple, clear way, or at least what I consider simple. So, onwards we go. I'm just going to go through what I'm calling techniques, but the first one is most important to least important, with the least important still being important. So you're making an argument and you want your most important point to be your first body paragraph, and the one that's you judge to be the least important at the end, right? Because you want to start off with a bang. So I gave a example that hopefully makes some type of sense. It's a bit silly, but it's arguing for why spam's yummy without giving any reasons. But if you're going to make this argument, the most important reason spam is yummy would be in your first body paragraph, number 2, right after your intro. And then I'd make another argument that I consider a little less important but still important, etc., and so on. So that's that technique. The next one is the rebuttal, and in this you need to consider a counter argument to your opinion, to your belief. Then you're going to respond to it. You're going to argue against it and make claims with evidence as to why that perspective is incorrect or flawed. And in mine, you can see I say spam is good, here's why. And then I say some other people believe spam is bad, here's why. And then the next body paragraph, these people are wrong, here's why. As you can see, I was a bit casual in my writing skills. You'll have to forgive me. I did this quick, and it's also when outlining, I think it's good to be a little casual. It takes some of the pressure of formalities off of the writing process. I'm all about that. I'm all about recognizing when to be casual to help get through the process quickly and when I need to be more formal. All right, next is the qualifier. And that is when you see different sides of an argument and you agree with them. And you may agree to the different sides to different extents, right? You may believe one argument is more important but the other, but still believe that they're both valid. And if that's the case, how that could be sandwiched in a paragraph is you'd have a body paragraph about spam is yummy, and then another one, some situations spam actually isn't yummy, I'm aware of this. And then your qualifier would be, however, even though spam is not yummy in some situations, I can give these reasons a hall pass because in most situations spam is yummy. And then I'd give another reason why. And so basically I'm saying that even though in some situations spam isn't yummy, ultimately it is yummy. And so arguing more for the yummy than the unyummy, if that makes sense. All right, third technique, the broad to narrow technique, or I guess it'd be the fourth technique, excuse me, is you see this a lot in quote-unquote academic writing and also in other types of writing, but going from broad to narrow. So your introduction's really broad, right? You're giving a very concise and succinct introduction to your essay that summarizes a lot while also making your main point. You're cramming a lot into that thesis statement, right? Your main point. It's very broad. And then you want to get a little less broad, but you could still keep it broad. if you're using this approach. A common way to do that is just to give your audience a general introduction to the topic. You can't always assume that your audience knows a lot, so you keep it broad and just give not necessarily the different points you're going to make, but just a summary of your topic, so that when you get to your argument, it's clearer, your points are clear because you've given context. So as you can see, specific point you are making below general introduction, then your next point could even be more specific. It could build off the point before it. It could be a much different point, but potentially still more narrow. And I provided an example, still using my spam example. So first body paragraph after the intro, giving a more in-depth summary of the history of spam and why it's important. And then expand on the general argument that you introduced in your intro on why spam's important. And something more specific on why spam's important. And another point that is more specific to why spam is important in the next one. And sometimes you'll be making the same point in multiple paragraphs, right? But perhaps the first paragraph you make a point, it's a little more broad, and then you're making the same point in the second paragraph, but getting more specific, hashing out the details. And here is the mix-up, and you, for longer essays, have more than likely already done this, whether aware of it or not. But I've given you these 4 different common techniques you see in essays for structuring your argument. And in more mature arguments and longer arguments, these different approaches are all mixed up. So you can see in this one, in my second paragraph, give a broad historical introduction to a topic and point out that it's broad to narrow. And then I go into, and that's common, right? Giving just a general introduction to the topic after your intro. And then go into why the topic is important and your opinion on the matter. Second most important reason topic is important. Then you could throw in a counter argument for that second point, and then give a response to that counter argument. Go to a third important reason, and then expand on that third most important reason. So hopefully this makes sense. I covered a lot in a very short amount of time, but I figured doing a little PowerPoint would be more helpful than having to read out of some English textbook, which can be dry and long-winded. If you have any questions about these techniques, how they can be used, feel free to email me at pesmith@nwic.edu.